Hello, everyone. In the last class, we saw about the introduction to networking fundamental with OSA layer, because OSA layer serves as the fundamental concept for internet to work. So I just gave a outline of that. So just to have a quick summary about that concept, and today marks the official beginning of the Palo Alto Networks series, start of the series, and so before starting or going to the Palo Alto concept, we'll just have a quick summary about the last class, just to give an outline. So we covered about OSA layer. So OSA level is 7. So that's why I related with MS Dhoni, because whenever you think about 7, you think about MS Dhoni. So to start with, when the user is trying to send email from a Gmail app or something like that, so the end user is interacting with the application. So that is the start. So when you start from the application layer, so you can see application layer here. I have related with the post office. Post office is like the concept like which is related with the mail. So I've ported that. That's an example. And since it also contains the keyword post, you can relate it with two other protocols. That is SMTP, I related with mail in this diagram, and also HTTP. HTTP also it's an protocol. HTTP is also like HTTPS is also an application protocol. So here you try to access that application. So that is I have given like post method. You access that application or the web browsing. That is the application layer is covered. Then comes the presentation layer. Presentation layer is the one which helps the data, to present the data in a proper format. So I've given ASCII, ASSI, ASS, ACC, AC, ASCII, American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So that will be representing the binary data zeros and ones in a proper format. So for example, 1010 will be represented as A, 1011 will be represented as B. So starting from zero till that particular end. So these are like standard data format representation. So that will be represented in the presentation way. So and also the JPEG, JPG. JPG is Joint Photographers Group or Joint Photographers Experts Group format. So that's the reason I have related with the ASCII photo printing company in the sixth layer. And then the session layer. Session layer is like to establish the channel. So in the session layer, you have the system. It will be like establishing a definite channel to have a session created, session established, and then session teared down. So those three phases are done in the session layer. So connection establishment, connection ongoing, and then connection termination. So those things are handled by the session layer, and it uses the cookie to remember those kind of sessions. So that's the reason I have given cookie as an example in the fifth floor of this example. And then in the fourth is the transport layer, where we will be establishing the uh, allowing the application to go through a particular reference port. So that's the reason I've given the C port uh, agency as an example. So the port is the keyword here. So in the transport layer, you access or like make use of TCP, TCP and UDP protocols to allow the application. So TCP is connection oriented and UDP is connectionless. What is it meaning is TCP is stable, reliable, because whenever a particular packet is to be sent from a one destination to the a remote destination, it it always try to send that packet in a proper way. It does not want to send the data just like that. So if you want to send something professionally, you do it properly, right? To write like staying, whatever, like respected sir or whatever. That's what like that. It will be sending the data in a proper format. If it's not sent properly, it will be try to restart the exact session like from the beginning. So that is like connection oriented. UDP is something like which sends the packet just like that and it goes just like that. So that is the difference between TCP and UDP. And in the network layer is dealing with the routing protocol, where you have to send the packet from one network to the another network. In this example, say for example, I told you this particular MS Dhoni fan is in one particular hotel, say T, and MS Dhoni is in another hotel, M. So these two are two entities. So it has to get a pass from this security. Say this would be considered as a layer 2 switch, and this would be a firewall or a router. Now let's go into the firewall router concept later, but just to give an example. So the network layer is responsible for transmitting packet from one destination or like routing the packets from one particular subnet to the another subnet with the help of router or layer 3 switches or firewall, making use of the IP address. And that's the reason I've given Indian parents as an example. So IP represents Indian parents, and in the Indian parents act as the gateway to decide whatever you do or done till now or like going to do in future. So this is just a purely an example. And then comes the data link layer. The data link layer is responsible for MAC addressing. I mean to I mean IP is a logical IP addressing to route the packets, but within your network, you need to know some kind of information to reach the network within your network. So there comes the MAC protocol, Medium Access Control Protocol. So Medium Access Control Protocol is nothing but Media Access Control is the physical addressing. So every machine has a physical MAC address. So it will be 48 bits and it will be represented with a particular convention to with because the first three bits are like represented with vendor, and next three bits the actual unique address itself, and then finally comes the uh, physical layer. Physical layer is responsible for like traversing the packets in the zeros and ones across the different metropolitan cities or different companies or within or different areas, because you're going to connect the physical device to the cable, then only you're going to get connected to the internet. So most often you'll be connecting with RJ45 cable will be connected, and that will be traversing this electrical signals or fiber optic signals, and then you reach the internet. So basically you can say like this one. So this is your laptop. It will be connected to your RJ45, and then you either connect it to the internet, or either you go to your server within your company, or like to another user in another zone or something like that. Now, I think you have covered a quick summary of the OSA layers. Now we will go to the actual thing, the Palo Alto series. Now we'll move into the actual requirement, that is the Palo Alto Networks concept. So, like, what is a firewall? Why we need a firewall? What was traditional firewall? What is next generation firewall? Say, for example, Palo Alto is the next generation firewall. But first of all, we have to know like why we need a firewall. So traditionally, when you add a client machine, it will be connected to a, a router. Before that, you will be having a layer to switch the traffic. That is a different concept altogether. But right now, our focus is on the switching the packets from one destination or like one particular network to another network. So you need a layer 3 router to another machine or a server, whatever it is. So either you need a layer 3 router, and then layer 3 router is used to route the packets. Only it will be routing the packets. So that's the only thing you can do in the router part. In the firewall, the traditional firewall, what does it do? The traditional firewall was acting like a security check. So either it will allow the packet or deny the packet. The first preference would be always to block the packet because it needs to send only the required traffic inbound and outbound, both inbound and outbound. Say, for example, this is the client machine, this is the server machine, this is client machine, this is server machine. So it should control both inbound flow and the external flow. So traditionally, what will they do? Say, for example, this 10.10.10.x, and this is like is a HTTPS server or HTTP server or HTTPS server, something like that. Then you will be writing ACL, that is access control list. Okay, ACL stands for access control list. You will be writing source IP, destination IP, and then mention the application, mention the protocol, and mention the port number. So more often it was like based on the criteria of source IP, destination IP, port number, because traditional firewalls worked on port number concept. It doesn't even consider the application in the first place. But what does Palo Alto do? Palo Alto is working based upon the signatures. Signatures in the sense, signatures are the one which provides the characteristics of a particular pattern. So this Palo Alto, the next generation firewall, have inbuilt functions like app ID, user ID, content ID, and device ID. Most of them like work based upon the signatures. This one especially, user ID is based upon the logging and the WMI instrumentation, RPC logs, and everything. Device ID is something related with IoT security. So mainly, when the first place is like to check the application. So when a client machine is about to initiate the traffic through next generation Palo Alto firewall, it will be it will be checking the signature pattern of the application. Based upon the signature pattern, it will be allowing the or characterizing the traffic and then set for the action of allow or deny action. It's no longer dependent on the port number, it's dependent on the signature pattern. So that's the app ID concept. So this is like, I'm just giving an overview. So these are the main features of Palo Alto. That is app ID, user ID, content ID, and device ID. We'll go through each of the topic in a detailed manner in the upcoming sessions. But as of now, you just want to know the difference between the traditional firewall and the next generation firewall. So you know the difference that traditional firewall was more often like port based and only works on ACL, whereas next generation firewalls works on signature pattern, signature based, and it works on the ACL and the security policies. And also they have like several other options like security profiles to control the traffic with respect to the content ID and so on. So these are all will come across or like go through in the packet flow or in the upcoming session dedicatedly. So this is to just to give an overview. Okay, if you want, you can take a screenshot or what. Next, we'll move on to the next concept. That is, what does Palo Alto working scenario, working concept? That is SP3. SP3 means single pass parallel processing. Single pass parallel processing. That is the architecture the Palo Alto is working on. So this SP3 architecture naming conventions came from the same. the acronym single pass parallel processing. So that's the reason it is written as SP3 architecture. So what does a SP3 architecture offer? So it performs operations per packet, which means like it checks each and every packet going through the firewall. Second, it performs traffic classification based upon the based upon the application. So that's the reason we already mentioned the app ID concept there. Second, user or group mapping. So you can control the traffic based upon the user ID also. User ID means so whenever you authenticate, you use I mean, there are various forms of authentication. I mean, say for example, the LDAP server you are authenticating. So in the LDAP server, you own yourself a particular domain name and a domain. I mean, domain your username followed by the domain name. So that particular user name or the user ID can be used to control in the security policies. So you can just think how powerful it is, the Palo Alto Firewall. So user and group mapping, then content inspection or scanning, and URL filtering. So content inspection is like inspecting the packet based upon, say, for example, you're downloading a file from the internet. It is going to inspect that particular file, and you can also control over the URL filtering in restricting some of the I mean some of the unwanted sites or like any very adult content sites or like drug trafficking. Many things you can control with the help of URL filtering feature, and then all this all these features like app ID, user ID, content ID, all these are done parallelly, parallelly in a single operation, in a single operation. That's the reason it's called SP3 architecture. I hope you understand now. So, first of all, we saw why we need a firewall, why we went to next generation firewall. And in the Palo Alto next generation firewall, we saw a gist or like overview of the features it is inbuilt with. And now we have seen on what logic architecture the Palo Alto is working on, and we have seen the overview summary.